So husband control pooling and the wife control pooling. Inequality and money management, and as we can see in money management also there is inequality, wherein if the husband has a higher status in paid employment or higher economic status than the wife, or the wife has paid employment but a lower payment and lower economic status, and it's the husband who take all the responsibilities of management of the money and the financial resources. So according to Paul, the most egalitarian type of control is a wife control. Okay. The most egalitarian type is a wife control pooling in households with this system. The male and the female partners tend to have similar amounts of power. Similar amounts of power in terms of decision making. So in this system, the husband and wife both have similar male and the female partners, or you can say male and the female partners have significant tend to have similar amounts of power in terms of decision making, and they're equally likely to experience financial deprivation. Equally, equally experience financial deprivation. Similar power equally as much they also tend to have similar amounts of money to spend on themselves. So they also tend to have similar amounts of money, similar amount to spend on themselves. So similar amounts of money to spend on themselves. This is a more egalitarian type of system. A wife control system appear to give women an advantage over men, of course. However, they tend to be found in households where money is tight. However, they tend to find where money is tight and there is little, if anything, left over after paying for necessities. Paying necessities. Often women will go short themselves. So mainly this pattern is followed in the poor household or the poor families, wherein a wife or the female partner, they manage the financial resources. Often women will go short themselves, for example, eating less, delaying buying new clothes, and spending little on the leisure, whereas see their husband and children go short. Husband control system tend to give husband more power than their wives, of course. High income families. In this households, men usually spend more on personal consumption than wives. Where husband control pooling occurs, men tend to have more power than women, but the inequality is not as great as in the system of the husband control. In the highest income household, there is usually sufficient money to meet the personal expenditure of both the partners. Overall, then Paul found that just over a quarter of the couples had the system. That is, minority household. We see the wife control pooling associated with a fair degree of equality between the partners. This would suggest that in domestic relationship, as in the number of other areas, women have not yet come close to reaching the position of equality. Women have not yet come close to reaching the position of equality. More recent research by Laurie and Gershoni analyzed data from the British Household Panel Survey. So I have also taken from data from the British Household Panel Survey. This showed movement away from the housekeeping allowance system. In which so there is a movement away from the housekeeping allowance system. This was a movement away from the housekeeping allowance system in which men gives women an allowance to pay for household expenses, which was being used by just 10% of the household by 1995. The use of shared management system had increased marginally to 51% in 1995. However, there was more evidence of change towards greater equality in terms of major financial decisions. In 1991, 25% of the couple said the male partner had the final say on the financial decisions. Okay, male partner say financial decisions. But by 1995, this had declined to 20%. So how we are moving towards financial equality? 20%. The proportion saying the male and the female partners had an equal say had risen from 65% to 70%. Okay, over the same period. Greater equality was particularly in evidence where the women were well qualified and had a high earnings, especially when they were employed in professional managerial jobs. Overall, Laurie and Gershoni concluded that while there was some evidence of a movement towards greater equality, we are still far from a position in which the balance between the sexes in the workplace corresponds to the balance to the work. There is a balance between the sexes in the workplace corresponds to the balance of work and economic power in the home. So we see Gershuni conclude while there was some evidence of a movement towards greater equality, we are still far from a position in which the balance between the sexes in the workplace corresponds to the balance of the work and economic power in the whole. Further research by Vogler and Brockman and Begins use data from the International Social Survey Program. So they are just using data and conducting research to prove their points. They distinguished five money management system. The female whole way system, okay, in which women manage all the money and men are given allowance for personal spending. So this is known as the female whole way system. The second, we have the male whole way system, a housekeeping allowance system in which men manage all the money or manage all part from a housekeeping allowance which they give it to their partner. The joint pooling system, in which all the money is pooled in theory and in theory managed equally. Hi, Rishu. All the money is pooled and theory managed equally. The partial pooling system in which some money is pooled but each partner keeps some money which is not pooled. Okay. The joint pooling, all the money is pooled equally and in theory managed equally. So the money is managed equally. Joint pooling system, the partial pooling system in which some money is pooled but each partner keeps some money which is not pooled. Okay. The independent management in which no money is pooled. Independent management system and no money. So we have different types of money management system in the household institution. I was studying. So it's again sociology. So the female whole system in which women manage all the money and give a portion of the allowance for the personal expenditure of the husband. The male whole male manage it, and the joint pooling system in which the money is pooled and theory managed equally. The partial pooling system in which some money is pooled but each partner gives some money which is not pooled, and in which no money is being pooled. So next we will study collected data on cohabiting couples as well as married couples. Conjugal roles and emotional work. So it's Jane Duncanway and Dennis. Favorite thinker. So is Weber, I would say Max Weber. So when unlike previous studies, I don't think I need to study all this. Okay, let me just say this. Note Anthony Giddens suggested that cohabitation would lead to more equality. Okay, rather than being associated with greater equality, as so Giddens said that cohabitation would lead to greater equality in personal relationships. So rather than being associated with greater equality, as Giddens' thesis would lead us to expect, our findings are um, therefore consistent with the argument that childless post-marital cohabiting unions childless post-marital cohabiting unions may be associated with even bigger inequalities in financial decision making, living standards, and money for personal spending and saving than compared to married unions in which couples pool money. Famous political scientist, yes, yes, I know that. He actually balances the work of Durkheim and Marx. System, the joint pooling system, the premium role based system, the joint pooling system, the particle management system, the conjugal roles and emotional work, Jean and Duncanway and Dennis. Emotional work. Okay, this is done. Just read this and move on. How many I have? अभी खत्म करना पड़ेगा. Can I cut this many pages into hours? Let's see. Durkheim. Okay. I don't. I mean, I don't like him that much, Durkheim, because I feel he's very. He always talks about society and does not give any preference to individual choices. Who asked? So, judging the work of the day sociologists Jindal and Dennis Marsden argue that some forms of domestic work cannot be measured in conventional service. In particular, alongside such tasks as housework, childcare, members of household also carry out emotional work, right? Socialization of the children, stabilization of the adult personalities, and all. So members of the household also carry out emotional work. Drawing on the work of various Jane Duncan and Dennis argue that some forms of domestic work cannot be measured in conventional. Some domestic work is often performed by the women cannot be measured in conventional ways. In particular, alongside such tasks as housework and childcare, members of the household also carry out emotional work. The term emotional work was first used by early Hochschild. Yes, so early Hochschild for emotional work. Early to describe the sort of work done by the family Airline, okay, what was done by the family airline cabin crew in trying to keep passengers happy. Female airline cabin crew, sorry. Emotion work that is done by the okay, early hostile type of work that is as done by the female airline cabin crew to keep the passengers happy. Emotional work. Duncanby and Marsden also try to develop the work of Anne James, who discussed how from a very early age girls and then women become subconsciously trained to be more emotionally skilled in recognizing and empathizing with the moods of the others. The emotional work is also performed by the women in order to keep the members of the household happy. This was from how from a very early age girls and then women become subconsciously trained to be more emotionally skilled in recognizing and empathizing with the moods of others. How Hochschild and James were mainly interested in emotional work in paid employment. So not in the family institution but in the paid employment. Hochschild. Duncan and Manson examined the implication of their ideas of a relationship between heterosexual partners. The research was based on interviews with 40 white couples who had been married for 15 years. They asked the couples separately and together how their marriage had survived for so long in age of high divorce rate. They found that many women expressed dissatisfaction with their partner's emotional input into the relationship and the family. Their partner emotional input into the relationship and the family.